fire is active, and I think we have reached the point of no return. We have been having earthquake after earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. This one is in the U.S. Back to back to back earthquakes, and these are not little earthquakes either. Ring of Fire having so much activity that a 500-year-old volcano just erupted in Russia.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel, watching the videos entirely, commenting down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
What's up, people on the internet? Alright, y'all, check this out. Okay, so everybody kept asking, test all the foods, so that's exactly what I'm doing.
Alright.
All the foods that I love are tainted, y'all. I'm not even joking. This right here makes me so mad. Like, we just got these. And y'all can plainly see there's nothing white on top of this oatmeal cream pie.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So y'all check this out. Look at that. What in the hell is going on? Y'all, I don't care what anybody says in the comments. That's not normal. I don't care. That's not normal.
It's contaminated.
I mean, it's only certain parts of it. Even the cream on the inside, you can't see it, it's smashed, but it don't even glow, and it's white. So, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. It's blown my mind. Like, when I'm done doing these series, I'm not going to be able to eat nothing.
Me either. I'll have to stay on this.
That's insane, y'all. Like, this makes me so mad. This is approved by the FDA. Millions of people eat these. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody in the South eats oatmeal cream pies pretty much. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. I'm going to start doing restaurant foods. And then we'll go from there. I mean, what can you do? I wanted to share that with y'all. Here y'all go. Oatmeal cream pie under a black light. That's crazy.
Have you seen the video of the alien walking the streets of Atlanta? Don't know what I'm talking about? Take a look at this.
Space guy, man. Hey, bro, hey, can you tattoo alien flesh? Yeah, I guess, right? Hey, yeah, but I'm trying to get 2 teardrops, but okay, dog. I took out the 4 whole solar system, but hey, come out, well, you know I need a teardrop big time, well. What's that, Zola? Yeah, but RP Zola, you know I'm going for you, RP that,
What?
People in Atlanta are starting to believe that we have a real alien living amongst us and walking amongst us.
Yeah, but RP Zola, you know I'm going for you, RP that.
I think this is some kind of costume, bro.
Hey, well, I'm still sitting behind that shit. Hey, man. Shit, y'all licking shit.
So if you're from the Atlanta area, let me know if you've run into the alien from Atlanta, and what are your thoughts? Real, or is that some type of costume? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
That's definitely a costume, man. He need it. He's in Atlanta. He need to hop on the stream with Kai, bro.
Nobody but me find this story crazy. This baby right here was technically conceived in 1994, but now born in 2024. Let that sink in. This baby was sitting in a freezer for 30 years. This baby has been in the freezer as long as some of y'all been alive. I'm talking about a full embryo in a cryogenic sleep for 3 decades, y'all. I only heard about this shit on sci-fi movies.
Yep.
But this is real life. These people trying to play God. Bruh, this baby has been frozen since Bill Clinton was the president. This shit is crazy, fool. And the couple was a couple out of Tennessee that did this. This baby got to skip out on a lot of shit that was going on. But it's crazy for them to have this baby now in this era. Because I know this baby like, what the fuck? Now, I don't know what's wilder. The fact that this baby survived on ice for 30 plus years, or the fact that the scientists let this happen in the first place. Imagine telling these people, I want my baby to be frozen for 30 years and then I'm gonna have him. Do y'all know how crazy that shit sound? They already unlocking the next level of human cloning at this point. Then what I think about now is, I know this is not the only baby that's frozen. If they did it to this baby, how many other babies is frozen? This might be a newborn baby, but I'm telling you, this junk gonna come out with an old soul. Something nobody has ever seen before.
Lil Tay just made an OnlyFriend. Not only did she just make $1 million in 3 hours, the pictures that Lil Tay is posting is not only concerning, but also scary. As soon as she turned 18, she did exactly what Bad Baby did. And first off, I need to know who the people who are subscribing to this, because they need to be put on a list. But they just got what they deserved after the pictures that they actually got from Lil Tay. And this is where it gets more worse. A lot of people thought that she took these pictures before she turned 18, and that the dudes that are buying this are literally spawn camping, because she has been talking about this for the past few weeks. And some of these people that have been saying that they've been waiting for this make me sick to my stomach. And thank God Lil Tay said that all of this was filmed after she turned 18, because she has been on the internet for so long, and the people that are consuming this new Lil Tay content have probably known who she is for a while now. But this is where it gets even more insaner. I wish I could make $1 million in 3 hours, and literally everybody on the internet is saying that all the pictures that Lil Tay is posting is literally nothing special. Basically posting glorified Instagram pictures. Do you feel bad for Lil Tay?
Let me tell you some.
That's just insane, man. This is the society we live in, bro.
Interesting things that I just learned. Tears that are triggered by sadness, happiness, and onions all apparently appear different under a microscope. Bras were called breast bags in medieval times. A skyscraper called walkie-talkie, I guess because it looks like one, was melting cars and damaging buildings due to its ability to focus sunlight because of the concave shape that it was built in. That's just unfortunate, putting all that work in. Oh my goodness. 2 men climbed Mount Everest and then paraglided off the summit, touching down over 19 miles away in only 42 minutes, which allowed them to avoid the potentially deadly 3-day descent. Now that's what I call a shortcut. The Big Zero is a soccer stadium in Brazil where the midfield line is basically aligned with the equator, which causes each team to defend one hemisphere or the other. American Airlines saved $40,000 by eliminating one olive from its first-class salads back in 1987. So that $40,000 was worth a lot more than it is now. The guy that named the movie Cars got a $300,000 bonus and reportedly was paid over $700,000 a year. Sometimes simplicity is just the way to go. Cars. Bulgaria sold 213,000 Bitcoin in 2018, which would now be worth $25 billion and actually would be more than enough to clear their entire national debt.
How is time travel not real? When James Franco and his brother are in a magazine from 1972. Watch this. Old, adult magazine from 1972. That is James Franco and his brother. You can't convince me otherwise.
Similarities, I see.
Either they are time travelers or immortal vampires who never unalive, ever. Either way, it's super crazy. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, stay weird.
There's this girl on TikTok who is claiming to have proof that her neighbor is watching her through her window. At first, I didn't see what everybody else was seeing. I didn't know what they were talking about. Turn up the brightness on your phone, then throw the phone out the window. A full-blown face in the window. People were in the comments and they were like, why haven't you contacted the police about this? Other people in the comments were saying, she did. The police are not following up on it. Like pulling that card like, is this person actively trying to break in? Has this person caused you harm before? That's why they're not doing anything. What would you do in this situation?
Imagine a bakery making you a sandwich that pisses you off so bad, you come back 4 years later to stab somebody. That's exactly what happened in this case. 2 deli workers were stabbed over an angry customer that had a bad sandwich from here 4 years ago. And it wasn't that it tasted bad. The customer had a certain allergy to something. However, he was served that thing anyways and it made him sick. So he was plotting and scheming like the damn Joker for years. And I need to emphasize again, this was 4 years ago. It happened in Paterson, New Jersey. The two brothers that owned the bakery were the ones attacked. Their names are Assad and Mohammed. They've owned the bakery for decades. Suspect apparently confronted one of the girls that was working there, and then he used a box cutter to attack the brothers. Also, to be clear, 4 years ago, they tried to make it right with the guy. You know, the order was wrong, they acknowledged that. They even offered to give him, like, free stuff and, like, other things like that. They even offered him more compensation just because, you know, he had an allergic reaction, but he refused. Now, for the sandwich in question, he ordered an egg sandwich years ago, but he got an eggplant sandwich, and apparently he's allergic to that. As for the brothers that got stabbed, they're being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. They're hospitalized right now, so, I mean, I'm glad they're okay. This might be the crash out of the week. I would say crash out of the century, but people crash out crazy every week and they surprise me.
I fell into the still water. Help! Yep, we're talking about still water again today. Here is a flooded bank vault with a bunch of still water and probably more brain-eating amoebas than dollars. Who wants to go into the flooded cellar of doom that probably has Pennywise in it and still water? I don't remember why I saved this. This isn't even still water. That's just a creepy lizard. This still water Ussie. And here is a picture of some still water with its bacteria in it. That is vile. Here's still water under a microscope, in case you were wondering. Do not ever jump in that stuff. You will be, unfortunately, exited from this earth. This looks like my matcha water that I drink every day. But you know what? I'm not gonna let it stop me from loving matcha. That giant pipe in that still water like that, that looks disgusting. Look, it's a pool full of Diet Coke.
No,
it's
it
not
ain't.
Diet Coke. And once again, this water looks like if you fell in it, you would become the Hulk or Shrek. And the worst photo of still water that has ever existed. I don't know where this is, but there is at least 5 billion diseases in that little pool alone. How do you feel?
The Grand Canyon is on fire. In fact, it's been on fire for almost a month. And it's not even like it's small. Over 1,000 firefighters have been struggling to contain 2 fires. One called White Sage, we'll get to that, and the other called Dragon Bravo, which are on and around the North Rim. So far, they've burnt the equivalent of 113,000 football fields, destroyed close to 100 structures, including homes of park officials, a visitor center, a gas station, a water plant, and even the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. And the reason you may or may not have seen people freaking out about this on TikTok is because white sage is a sacred medicinal plant, often burnt by Native American tribes for cleansing and purification. Lord knows we need some of that right now. And authorities currently believe that both fires were started by lightning, believe it or not. Oh, they really don't want us to see August. The white sage fire is currently 83% contained, while Dragon Bravo, on the other hand, is only 4% contained. And recent reports say that it tripled in size in just 3 days. See you in August. Hopefully.
They're saying that one person is dead and 22 people are sick from Legionnaires disease in Harlem. And if you don't know about Legionnaires disease, it's not a disease that spreads from person to person. It's a bacteria that spreads like mist. So this bacteria is often found in water, and it usually hides in cooling towers on the top of buildings. The same cooling towers that gives building air conditioning, which means the mist from those air conditionings spreads throughout people. And that's how Legionnaire disease goes from person to person. So basically, you can be walking past one of these places and take a deep breath, and that bacteria can go into your lungs and you're infected. And this infection is sort of like pneumonia. And when some people acquire this bacteria, they don't make it. So if you're having pain in your chest, diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting, fevers or chills, you might need to go see a doctor. Because again, 22 people are sick and one person has already lost their life. And of course, we're talking about New York City. We're talking about Harlem. That means that there's a lot of people walking around through these areas and they don't even know this is happening. Pay attention.
An orangutan was kept in a brothel, dressed up, and forced to live like a human. Pony was taken from the wild as a baby in Borneo after her mother disappeared. Instead of freedom, they trapped her in a place where she was treated like a possession, but not kindly. They kept her in a brothel made to wear clothes and makeup and forced her to be around people all day long. Really sad and disgusting part is this wasn't a secret, this wasn't hidden. Many people in the village knew what was happening. In fact, when a team arrived to rescue her, they faced resistance. Some locals did not want Pony to leave. It took a huge effort from a lot of people to be able to bring her to safety. So sad. Like, after the rescue, Pony was deeply traumatized. She even forgot how to behave like an orangutan and had to relearn basic skills like eating natural food or climbing trees. Pony's story really shows us why protecting wild animals and their home is so important. This is not the only story like this, as crazy as that is. Without this kind of protection, animals can suffer in ways that people could never even imagine. What do you think should be done to help animals like Pony? Follow for more.
Apparently there's
good thing Pony's free.
That went on 4chan recently, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, they found in this cave in Antarctica this egg-shaped UFO looking thing, which that's what we talked about a week ago.
Yeah.
And apparently after this came out, it gave this one guy the courage to disclose the stuff that they found in Antarctica, supposedly, of this same egg-shaped UFO that they found. But what's also strange is we talked about the hieroglyphics that a lot of people reported seeing on these UFOs. Same thing happened with this UFO, where there's really weird hieroglyphics all over it. Also, there's like a weird catacomb or like a coffin. It looked like a marble sarcophagus, very similar to the one that we talked about in Russia where that lady was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first picture, some of it looks almost like Hebrew.
Yeah.
That looks just like that letter in Hebrew. That one. Super weird, but apparently they're calling him an alien, but he looked like a tall, Nordic-looking man, very pale skin, long blonde hair, 7-8 feet tall, was in that sarcophagus, woke up, and was conversing with them.
Robots are...
So we got freaking alien eggs in Antarctica. You know, some weird things be going down there, but that's my first time hearing about it.
Stealing human jobs faster than anyone predicted, and 8 major industries just proved human workers are becoming completely obsolete. Waymo autonomous taxis are already serving 200,000 paid rides per week with 0 human drivers, while Amazon deployed 750,000 warehouse robots that sort packages faster and more accurately than any human worker. In China, robotic gas station attendants refuel cars without human help, and robot chefs trained on 5 million recipes are cooking restaurant-quality meals with perfect precision every single time. Boston Dynamics robots are now operating professional film cameras and performing backflips while capturing movie scenes, completely replacing human camera operators who spent decades mastering their craft. The most terrifying example is robots repairing high-voltage power lines because utility companies realize machines never get electrocuted, never fall, and never demand overtime pay or health insurance. These aren't prototypes or future concepts. Every single one of these robots is working right now, earning money for companies while human workers get laid off and replaced. From taxi drivers to warehouse workers to professional chefs, robots are proving they can do almost every job better, faster, and cheaper than the humans who used to do them. The job apocalypse isn't coming in 10 years, it's happening today, while most people are still pretending their careers are safe from automations. Which job will be the last one that robots can't steal from humans?
The ring of... What do you guys think, Seekers, man? That's scary, bro. Robots are just infiltrating the jobs and taking them all away from humans, man. That's crazy, bro. No industry is safe. Guess some, maybe like probably like sports, maybe entertainment. I don't know, but who knows, man? Maybe they probably gonna try to infiltrate those fields as well. Be careful out there, man. If you have a job, like we gotta think of a side hustle or something.
Fire is active, and I think we have reached the point of no return. We have been having earthquake after earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. This was in the U.S. Back to back to back earthquakes, and these are not little earthquakes either. Ring of Fire having so much activity that a 500-year-old volcano just erupted in Russia. Let's not forget to mention all of the other volcanoes that's waking up across the world too. And I told y'all we was gonna start seeing a lot more activity after them underwater currents did a reverse. This is what caused the day after tomorrow to happen. Go watch this movie. we have been getting hit with non-stop earthquakes all over the world. I know this is the part of the video where I bring up Matthew 24, nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and it be earthquakes in strange places. Those are the signs of birthing pains. Keep making videos and letting y'all know that we on borrowed time, gang. It's time to get your life right with Jesus, because all of these earthquakes that's happening, volcanoes erupting, just signs of the second coming. Now y'all let me know what y'all think about these earthquake swarms that's happening all across the world in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom. Stay tuned. And remember, if you want to grow your social media and get paid a passive revenue, comment down below, hub, and I'm gonna send the resources in your DMs.
Here's every celebrity that Trisha Paytas has reincarnated in her womb. The dates and the times of these coincidences are insane, and why she decided to get her tubes removed, therefore never giving birth or reincarnating ever again. So just yesterday, it was announced that Trisha Paytas gave birth to her third child, a boy named Aquaman. And no, I'm not kidding. And when it was announced that Aquaman was born, literally, it was uncanny how the announcement of Ozzy Osbourne's death was announced 1 minute before. You could not make this stuff up. And in all seriousness, RIP to Ozzy Osbourne. But what's even crazier is that, guess who hosted Ozzy Osbourne's farewell concert just a couple weeks before he died? Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman. And then Ozzy Osbourne gets reincarnated into Aquaman. And this is how Ozzy is living it up now. He's already in his little Aquaman suit. Trisha put on her Aquaman shirt right after giving birth. He's really going off the rails on a crazy train now. And Trisha's response to her most recent reincarnation was liking a comment that said, "You should have taken Trump, not Ozzy." Now this whole Trisha Paytas' womb is the portal to reincarnation conspiracy theories started when Queen Elizabeth died on September 8th, 2022. And then Trisha Paytas' first child, Malibu Barbie, was born on September 14th, 2022.
I don't understand why my womb is carrying all these souls.
Now a lot of people thought Trisha Paytas' second child, Elvis, was actually the reincarnation of the Pope, but the Pope actually died a little bit too early for that to be the case. Trisha Paytas' second daughter, Elvis, is actually the reincarnation of O.J. Simpson, who died just a couple weeks before she was born. But sadly, this conspiracy theory that Trisha Paytas always gives birth right when a very notable public figure dies and reincarnates them is now coming to an end, because Trisha said she had to get her tubes removed because she's had 3 C-sections and it wouldn't be safe or optimal for her to give birth again, so her and her doctors decided to remove her tubes after her last birthing of Aquaman. And I love how Trisha has always been in on the joke. She knows the internet just likes to have a little bit of fun.
The whole movie was a metaphor for using artists to bring people to the dark side.
Oh, that's
the whole movie was a metaphor. I watched it again recently, and it clicked in my head, bro. In that one scene, remember what happened when the main vampire was saying, "Just give us Sammy, and then we'll leave you guys alone." Yeah, Sammy. Yeah,
Sammy. You're the one I came for. I want to see my people again. I'm trapped here, but your gifts can bring them to me.
He said to me, "I just want Sammy for his talent." Okay. So he wanted his talent. Why? Because the way he was attracting more and more people was through music. Using musical artists, because it's a spiritual thing regardless, but you can manipulate where they go.
Oh, that's so much.
And they use songs and music in worship. They use it everywhere. Yeah. But they also use it in the clubs and parties, right? But if the things you guys are chanting together are, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that energy is coming towards you guys, and if it's violent things, it's like casting a spell.
Insane Lawsuits, Part 1.
Right in front of us.
In 2009, a Canadian woman named Karen Sala sued Keanu Reeves for $150,000 a month in child support and $3 million in spousal support, claiming he had fathered her 4 adult children. She alleged that Reeves had used hypnosis and even shapeshifting to disguise himself as her ex-husband before impregnating her. Reeves denied ever meeting her, and a DNA test confirmed he was not the father. Despite Sala's bizarre claims that the DNA test was tampered with, the judge dismissed the case as baseless and a waste of court resources. Reeves later referred to the ordeal as horrible. Anna Ayala famously sued Wendy's after claiming she found a human finger in her bowl of chili, but investigators soon discovered she planted it herself. It was a severed finger she received from a friend who had lost it in a workplace accident. She was later sentenced to 9 years in prison for attempted grand theft. In the 90s, a student named John Leonard tried to claim a Harrier jet that Pepsi jokingly offered in a commercial for 7 million Pepsi points. He legally submitted enough money to buy the points, but Pepsi refused. Leonard sued, but the court ruled that the ad was clearly a joke and dismissed the case, saying no reasonable person would think a military jet was a real offer.
Full-body
bodies, all found within close proximity of one another and within a 4-day window. This is weird. It has been quite a chilling week for the North Yorkshire seaside town of Whitby. Personal favourite of mine, actually. Just listen to this. On July 30th, 2 bodies were airlifted to hospital. 1 male, 1 female. That was from point 1. It was believed that the pair had fallen off the cliff, and the police said there was nothing suspicious. The very next day, July 31st, a woman in her 60s was found at the bottom of the cliffs at point 2. Police deemed it to be consistent with falling from a height and then ruled it not to be suspicious. Then on Saturday, August the 2nd, the body of a woman in her 50s was found at point 3. Again, her injuries were consistent with a fall and police deemed it not to be suspicious. That concludes 4 bodies within a 4-day window, all within the same area, very, very close. How is that not suspicious?
Things you have never seen before. This is a maned wolf. It's one of the rarest animals in the world, and it's pretty terrifying. This is Vanta Black. It's the darkest material in the world and can make 3D objects look like 2D ones. This is one of the rarest and most terrifying parasites in the world. This evil parasite steals the fish's tongue and then takes its place. I never knew these existed. This is a brick road laying machine. If you look closely, you'll realize that this isn't 4 different pictures. This is one single picture. This is insane. This airport has a road going through it. And this is actually more colors than you've ever seen in your life. This is exactly 1 million colors.
How? That last one, cat.
If you have one of these in your home, then you need to know this new chilling theory. TikTokers have claimed ththese new viral furry Labubus carry demonic energy, rumoured to be inspired by the demon Pazuzu. But Hot Mart insists they're based on a children's book. Labubu owners have now taken to blessing their dolls with holy water to banish any evil the new toys may hold. This truck driver...
I've been seeing those Labubu dolls. They've been going viral recently. Any of the seekers got them? Any of those claims are true?
Took the life of 5 people because he was distracted on TikTok. On the morning of January 12, 2023, 36-year-old Danny Tyner was driving on Interstate 10 in Arizona when he drove his tractor trailer in to stop the traffic. This scene is so difficult to look at, but basically his truck sandwiched 2 other cars with another big truck at the front. These are the 5 victims that lost their lives on that day, and when Danny was asked what happened, he said that he looked down for a couple of seconds because he got a notification on his work tablet, and when he looked back up, there was not enough time to brake. But that wasn't true. When his phone was analyzed, it showed that he was actively using TikTok when the crash happened. Now, what I found disturbing was that during his interaction with police, he didn't seem too fazed. He was eventually charged with manslaughter and was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for each count of negligent homicide, which totaled to 22.5 years.
Don't use your phone when you're driving, man. Especially TikTok. You're just scrolling.
3 incredible historic photos that 99% of people don't know about. Number 3. A boy fell into a zoo enclosure and a gorilla took care of him. This snapshot was taken in 1996 and featured Binti Jua, an 8-year-old Western lowland female gorilla. Although gorillas are generally regarded as dangerous creatures, when a 3-year-old boy fell into her enclosure, Binti Jua took care of the child. Astonishingly, the child had managed to climb and fall 23 feet into the gorilla's habitat. Number 2. Stray dogs protected and nourished this abandoned baby. I like to believe that the 3 street dogs in this photo appear to be smiling at the camera. This snapshot, taken in 1996, shows a newborn girl who had been abandoned in a trash bin near Kolkata, India. These 3 friendly dogs came across the baby and took care of her for about 2 days. The 4-legged friends even tried to feed the newborn. Number 1. A Native American Olympian has his shoes stolen just before his race. In the photo, we see Native American athlete Jim Thorpe in 1912. Someone had just stolen his running shoes right before his Olympic track and field events. Instead of letting this unfair play deter him, he rummaged through trash bins and found a pair of mismatched shoes, which we see in the photo. This did not prevent him from winning 2 Olympic gold medals on the same day.
1 in a Million, Part 7. On the right is the facial reconstruction of a 9,000-year-old skeleton that was found in a cave in Cheddar, England. His DNA was tested, and researchers found that a living relative was teaching history class only a half-mile away from the site, linking back 300 generations. Out of the 40,000 windows within the Twin Towers, only one of them survived 9/11. It's believed to have come from the 82nd floor of the South Tower, one of the 9 floors that was struck by the second plane. The first person to die during the construction of the Hoover Dam was surveyor J.G. Tierney on December 20th, 1922. On the same exact day, 14 years later, the last person died. It was J.G.'s son, Patrick Tierney. Uncombable hair syndrome is an extremely rare condition that literally makes the hair impossible to comb. It currently affects less than 100 people across the globe. A married couple from China discovered that they were in the same photograph as teenagers more than a decade before they even met. On July 4th, 1826, President John Adams' last words before dying were, "Thomas Jefferson survives." But little did he know, President Jefferson had died just hours earlier that same exact day. Not to mention it was exactly 50 years after the Declaration of Independence was passed.
That was eerie.
Horses are much bigger than people, so naturally they just have a lot more blood than we do. So whenever horses get nosebleeds, it ends up looking like a whole crime scene. So one of the only reasons we know how many people died in the Titanic are the shoes that are laying on the ocean floor. Some are pretty cool, others are kind of depressing. And the reason we count the shoes instead of, bones is because when the Titanic hit the floor, all the corpses kind of just scattered and the fish ate the corpses, but the fish couldn't eat the shoes. If you ever decide to go climb Mount Everest, I hope that you remember that the crevices in the ice are V-shaped, which means if you were to ever accidentally fall down one, you more than likely wouldn't die instantly. Your body heat would melt the ice around you, causing you to slip further and further down until your chest couldn't expand enough to breathe. So make sure you bring a friend just as crazy as you to help get you out.
I ain't never gonna Mount Everest. Cross that off the list.
She was in the car when a brick came flying towards her. In 2012, 29-year-old Olga Gajkovic was riding in the passenger seat with her family. They were driving down a road in Russia just like any other day. Their car had a dash cam, not knowing what it was about to capture. In the video, a semi-truck passes by the family's car when a brick is seen flying in the air going towards Olga. The brick smashes the window and hits Olga in the head. Everyone in the car is screaming while Olga has been knocked out by that brick. Olga was rushed to the hospital but later died from her injuries. This is your reminder to be safe on the road and always be observant.
Who threw that brick?
Is your school spying on you? I'd put money down and say that your school gave you a laptop to use for your studies. If so, open up Google Chrome on your computer and type in Chrome://policy. This is going to allow you to see what your admin, aka your school, has allowed on the device. If you open it up and there's nothing there, that is a good sign. But if some policies actually pop up, you're going to want to click these link out buttons to see what the policies actually mean. When you click on that, if there's anything related to video capture allowed or screen record allowed, your school is watching everything you do. I'd recommend covering that webcam up.
I never even thought about that before. When, schools being nice, I remember when they was handing out all these laptops for the kids to use. They have another freaking purpose, man. That's crazy, man. Those backdoor systems they can put on the laptops.
The World's Most Dangerous Conspiracy Theories, Season 2. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say that once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking a couple from each category until we reach Tier 10, the point of no return. Alright, Season 2, welcome to Tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about Ouija boards. A Ouija board is a board printed with numbers, letters, and symbols in hopes of communicating with the dead. The history of the Ouija board is just as mysterious as the game itself. A woman named Helen Peters claimed to be a very strong psychic and actually invented the board herself. Eventually, Helen Peters' brother-in-law named Elijah wanted to get these things patented so that he could sell these everywhere. Helen Peters and Elijah traveled everywhere trying to get this patent, but the offices said they couldn't release a patent unless they had proof of it working. But consequently, nobody in these offices wanted to even get close to the board for unknown reasons. Until one day they traveled to Washington, D.C., and the chief of patent walked in the room and said, "You don't know me and I don't know you." Then he said, "If this board can tell me my name, I will sign the patent for you right now." The board apparently spelled the man's name. He walked out of the office office looked at Helen Peters and said, "You got your patent." Years later, Helen Peters and Elijah had a falling out, and Helen said she no longer wanted anything to do with this board. Elijah, on the other hand, continued selling these boards until one day he fell off of a 3-story building. He actually survived the fall, and some bystanders saw his body laying in the road. They picked him up, put him in the car, and they hit a bump in the road, and his broken rib pierced through his heart. After that, the family sold the rights to the board, and all the way up until Helen Peters' death, her last words is, "Do not play the Ouija board, it lies." And now you can buy a Ouija board from any store, and they're marketed to children. So the question remains, are these boards just a hoax, or was Helen Peters trying to warn us of something much darker? Make sure to like and follow for tier 2.
Here's some horror movie fates that are even worse than being sewn into a human centipede. Because just when you thought you've seen it all, I'm here to bring you the worst of the worst. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but there's one scene in this movie that still haunts me, and it's been years since I saw it. Wrong Turn from 2021 is about a group of friends who go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. And there they encounter a cult called the Foundation, and this cult has a very unique justice system. And the scene that I'm talking about is how this cult chooses to punish people who commit crimes such as trespassing or even lying. One of the characters in this movie is sentenced to darkness, which is a punishment that is worse than death. And basically what that means is that their eyes and ears are burned out with a hot poker and their tongue is ripped out of their mouths. These people are then kept alive and thrown into a dark cave where they live the rest of their lives in silence and darkness. You literally see all of this happen in the movie, so that definitely traumatized me a little bit. But if you're into body horror, this movie will definitely give it to you. This is the 7th movie in the Wrong Turn franchise, but you don't really need to watch the other movies to watch this, it'll still make sense. A part of me kind of wishes that it was a standalone movie and had nothing to do with the rest of the lore, but overall I did like it. Let me know if you've seen any movies that you think are even more disturbing than the human centipede, and follow for more horror and movie content every single day.
In Spain, they say if you hear a sack dragging after midnight, it's already too late. El hombre del saco, also known as the sack man, is known as an old man who carries a sack around and kidnaps children. He is ugly, skinny, and eats the children he kidnaps. But don't worry, this only happens to children who misbehave. In 1910 in Spain, some believed that drinking the blood of a child and taking their body fat and putting it onto another person's body would cure tuberculosis. There was a man named Francisco Ortega, and he had just been diagnosed with tuberculosis, and he was desperate to find a cure. He went to see a healer named Augustina Rodriguez, and she sent him to a man named Francisco Leona, who was a barber and a healer. The man told him he could cure him for 3,000 reales, which would be equivalent to $13,000 today. Francisco then went to Augustina's son, Julio, and told him that in order to find a cure, they needed to find a child. On June 27th of 1910, Francisco used chloroform on 7-year-old Bernardo Gonzalez Barra and placed him in a sack. He was then taken out of the sack and stabbed. Francisco then mixed Bernardo's blood with sugar and drank it. Bernardo was alive for all of this, and eventually he was taken to a place called Las Posicas, and his skull was smashed with a rock. Bernardo's body fat was then removed so they could use it on Francisco's body. Once they were done, they hid Bernardo's body in a crevice with herbs and stones. Once Julio found out that he wasn't going to be paid for any of this, he went to the authorities and told them that he found the body of a small child while he went bird chasing. Once authorities arrived, they took Francisco Leona, the healer, into custody. During trial, all 3 men got in trouble and received death sentences. Since then, many have been afraid of encountering El hombre del saco.
This is a test to see if you have healthy eyes. If you pass all 5 levels, your vision is perfect. All you have to do is pick 1 out of the 10 colors that is different from the rest. Starting off easy, you can clearly see that number 7 is lighter than the rest of them. 97% of people pass this stage, but it's about to get way harder. Okay, let's move on to medium. This one is a little more difficult and will require a little more attention. The correct answer is 2. Level advanced is even harder. Only 30% of people make it past this stage, so really focus and you'll see that the correct answer is 4. Superhuman. This level is really going to test your vision, and I know these look identical, but if you look closely, number 4 is slightly different. And the final level, impossible. 92% of people failed this level, and the answer is 10. Were you right? Comment below.
I think I kinda got it.
3 paranormal and mysterious stories that will give you goosebumps. Number 3. In the 19th century, in the town of Amherst in Nova Scotia, a chilling and terrifying tale took root. Esther Cox, an ordinary-looking young woman, claimed to be tormented day and night by poltergeists. The spirits that haunted her moved objects, slammed doors, and scratched her. Despite thorough investigations and numerous accounts of this chilling haunting, the enigma was never solved. The mystery remains obscure, weaving a web of intrigue through the decades. Number 2. In 1809, an autumn chill takes hold of Europe. Benjamin Bathurst, a renowned British diplomat, is en route to England after a vital mission in Austria. On the way back, Benjamin takes a stop at an inn, where he mysteriously disappears. Despite intense searches, there is no trace of him. No one in the inn saw him leave his room. His shoes and belongings are still there, but there's no trace of Benjamin. To this day, his fate remains shrouded in mystery. Number 1. The legend of Ben Sublet, a tormented miner, who allegedly discovered an evil gold vein of immense value that could fill the coffers of several kingdoms. However, the location of this mine remains an oppressive mystery. Skeptics question the existence of this colossal wealth, supposedly hidden in the gloomy Guadalupe Mountains of Texas. Is Sublet's insidious treasure, a specter of gold and desolation, still waiting in the dark depths, ready to bewitch the intrepid who tries to unearth it?
This is the disturbing moment this woman laughed in court after she took this 3-year-old's life in a random attack. On June 3rd, police received numerous phone calls about a stabbing at a grocery store parking lot in Ohio. At around 3 p.m. on this day, 38-year-old Margot Wood was loading groceries into her car while her 3-year-old son Julian sat in his car seat. That's when 32-year-old Bianca Ellis entered the car and began stabbing the little boy. When Margot noticed, she tried to stop the attacker, and as a result, she was also wounded. Julian was then rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away. Now, what's disturbing was that this was a random attack, and after looking at surveillance footage, the attacker was seen following the mother and the child in and out of the grocery store. Then, when Bianca was brought into court, the judge began reading out the indictment, and she was seen smiling and laughing the entire time. And after an assessment was done on Bianca, they're arguing that she has bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, which explains why she did what she did. And this story only gets crazier. Before this incident, Bianca confessed to another murder in Bakersfield, and she even gave details of what she did with this person's body. She also warned officers that if she wasn't arrested, she was going to murder someone and eat their flesh. But none of this was taken too serious, and she was released from the mental institution, and not long after, she committed this heinous crime.
She literally said what she was gonna do and they still let her go.
This is the world's smallest dog. Her name is Pearl, and she's a 2-year-old Chihuahua that lives in Central Florida. Pearl stands at 3.59 inches tall and weighs 1.2 pounds. She's shorter than a popsicle stick and around the same length as a $1 bill, and she can fit in the palm of your hand. Pearl was recently awarded the Guinness World Record for being the smallest and shortest dog in the world. She's a descendant of the previous world record holder, Miracle Millie, who is 3.8 inches tall, which is just 0.2 inches taller than Pearl. Pearl's owner describes her as a calm dog who likes to go for walks and play with her toys. She also said that Pearl loves the attraction she gets for being so tiny.
Wow, what the hell? World's tiniest dog. She's a descendant from the previous world's tiniest dog. That makes sense. That tracks.
Y'all, this is some crazy FB news, y'all. So this little girl right here had this baby, right? Tell me why this little girl right here had been being SA'd by her biological father since she was 9 years old and had shared 3 children with this man. Now, the reason that this all popped off is because the 2-year-old was like 6 pounds. So CPS got involved and found out the 2-year-old was being malnourished. And they got involved, and then they did some tests, and they realized that all 3 of the children belonged to her and the biological father. Now she's currently 21 years old, and allegedly everybody in the family knew about this. The grandma knew, the grandpa knew, everybody knew. This is some sweet home Alabama BS, because I don't understand how nobody told what was going on to anybody, to CPS. The 9-year-old tried advocating for herself and telling CPS what was going on, but they did not listen to her, nor did they believe her. Now, they did a DNA ancestral test and said that the 16-year-old and 38-year-old were related. That was her biological father. She is currently 21 years old. And it says at the time they were living at the same residence. And it also says that the doctor is taking care of the 1-year-old. And that's when they realized that the 1-year-old had features that resembled ancestral DNA, was like related, like they were related to one another. This is a picture of one of the children with the biological grandpa, who's also the biological father. This is another picture of the son with the grandma. Now, she knew, now I think this is the grandpa and the grandma, but they knew what was going on and they did not help their granddaughter. And this is the entire post, pause to read, of the daughter stating what happened to her and her being ready to speak out about her situation because she felt like nobody believed her. And at this point, she's saying that everybody who did believe her passed away. And I believe that was the grandmother, grandpa, but they still didn't do nothing to help her. This is some crazy stuff. But this is her now, and this is the biological grandpa and dad now. He's still free and alive. And she's saying that, yeah, I honestly feel like he should be unalive because why would you do this to your own daughter?
World's a dark place, man. That doesn't even make sense.
Carla Faye Tucker was sentenced to death for murdering 2 people with a pickaxe. And for years, that was the end of her story. Until something happened. Carla Faye Tucker was born again. While she was in prison, she became a devout Christian. She renounced violence. She became a model inmate. She even married a minister. So Carla Faye Tucker made the transition from a child being sold to men by her mother to a cold-blooded killer to a born-again Christian. And that was inspiring to a lot of people.
I was forgiven, and I experienced that forgiveness. It freed me up inside to soar.
Soon her case didn't really become about her very ugly crime. It was about redemption. Carla's dramatic religious transformation garnered her a lot of support within the Christian community, including televangelist Pat Robertson, and he usually championed tough-on-crime policies, but even he fought for clemency for her. The argument made by Carla Faye Tucker's supporters was this: the Carla Faye Tucker who committed these crimes no longer exists, so does she still deserve to die for it? It's definitely a thinker. It poses questions about justice, mercy. Is the goal of a prison sentence to punish or to rehabilitate? But here's the kicker. The problem with mercy in the legal system is that it's rarely about fairness. The question also needs to be asked about why Carla received the international sympathy she did, when many others on death row never did. Like, is it genuinely because she was rehabilitated, or was it because she was a soft-spoken, pretty white woman who fit the mold of someone worthy of mercy? On the other side, the families of Carla Faye Tucker's victims had their own questions. Like, why did Carla deserve mercy when she didn't have any for Jerry Dean or Deborah Thornton? By 1998, Carla Faye Tucker had been on death row for 14 years and had exhausted all of her appeals, meaning the only thing that could save her from being executed was being pardoned by the governor of Texas, who at the time was George W. Bush. He said no. He said she was found guilty by a jury of her peers, and it's their job to enforce the laws. So Carla Faye Tucker was executed by lethal injection on February 3rd, 1998. To this day, Carla Faye Tucker's case still haunts the death penalty debate. And it forces us to ask what justice is actually for. Would Carla Faye Tucker's life be better served helping other people in prison, or did she deserve to have her life ended because she brutally ended 2 other people's lives?
In JonBenet Ramsey's area came forward with a really disturbing story recently. She was babysitting for a very rich, high-profile family in the same area. They had 2 small children. She asked them, she was like, how worried should I be because this JonBenet Ramsey thing just happened so close? Are there any precautions that your family is taking that I should be aware of? Like, in case it happens again? And they told her, don't worry, the word is out. There is no kidnapper, there is no murderer running around, and that the police were going to figure out who did it, but that the parents shouldn't worry, and that their children were completely safe, and that every kid in the entire town of Boulder was safe, like there was no danger at all. That's what the police said to the family. But it gets crazier. She said throughout her time working there that she actually worked down the street from the Ramsey house and would pass it. And she said in her video that she was able to like psychically contact JonBenet Ramsey, and JonBenet showed her what happened. She said that her mother had also crossed over, but she didn't know where her mother was. But she did say that JonBenet was happy to have her mother in the afterlife. JonBenet told the psychic that she holds no ill will, and that what happened to her was an accident, and that it was then covered up. She then said that she couldn't go into detail because people could sue her, and that some of the people involved are still living And something you need to know when you live in Boulder is you don't mess with the 1%. Let me know if you believe her, and come over here if you want to keep seeing my content.
So, a Chuck E. Cheese mascot has been arrested right from within Chuck E. Cheese. Which, mind you, that wasn't like his only job in the restaurant. Everybody who works at Chuck E. Cheese has to be Chucky. I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese when I was 16 and I was Chucky. So according to the police report, this happened out in Tallahassee, Florida, and this was with Jermel J. Jones. He is being accused of stealing someone's credit card, a woman's credit card, who was at one of the birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese. And he had racked up over $100 worth of charges, so it must have happened sometime before. So I don't really know why they chose the moment that he was in the restaurant, in the costume, where they were like, this is the time to arrest him, other than to get a photo like this.
A woman who vanished in California.
You got Chucky, bro. And the fact that he stole the woman's credit cards and she was at the party too. You know how the universe has to line up for things like that to happen?
California's Death Valley has been found alive, nearly 9 months later and hundreds of miles away. Kelsey Pittman, a 33-year-old from North Carolina, was first reported missing in November 2024 after she suddenly stopped responding. In February, nearly 4 months after Pittman disappeared, police got a tip about a suspicious vehicle abandoned near a camping area. Responding officers found Pittman's car, but there was no sign of her. Despite deploying drones, cadaver dogs, and aerial searches, no further clues were found at the scene. Now, in a stunning update, Pittman has been located safe in Colorado. Authorities haven't shared more details, citing the family's request for privacy.
I've seen hundreds of horror movies, and these are some that actually scared me, and I promise will make you sleep with the lights on. The first time I saw Incantation, I literally had full body chills. This movie just has a way of getting under your skin, and after you're done watching it, you're gonna feel like you're cursed. It's about a mother who realizes that after she messed with this forbidden tunnel that belongs to a religious cult, that she ended up unleashing a curse that is now tormenting her daughter years later. If you're into found footage movies like Hell House LLC, Blair Witch, anything like that, I just have to say that Incantation is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. You need to watch this if you haven't yet. And for the next movie, I don't mean to be biased, but when it comes to disturbing movies, Asian horror is next level. 99% of this movie I cannot show on here, which is how you know it's good. I genuinely believe that anybody who says the body horror scenes in this movie didn't get to them is probably lying. The Sadness is a movie that pushes every single limit. But I don't know if I'm just messed up because I still think it's a really good movie. But beyond all of that, what really got under my skin is the concept behind this movie. It's kind of a zombie movie, but not really, because it centers around a virus that makes people act on their darkest thoughts. The messed up things that they desire on the inside, the things that they're too afraid to act on. If you guys know about the comic book series Crossed, the virus in the Sadness is kind of like that. And this is the last movie on the list. It's completely different than the past two, but it's megalomaniac. This one is about the children of a serial killer who suddenly disappeared. And we're watching this serial killer's son and daughter attempt to either live a normal life or carry on their father's legacy. This is a very strange movie. I would describe it as kind of like watching someone's nightmare unfold. If you like weird horror crime movies, almost like Longlegs but turned up to 100, then Megalomaniac might just be for you. Let me know what was the last horror movie that really scared you, because if I haven't seen it, I'll watch it and I'll recommend it if I really liked it. And don't forget to follow for more.
I don't know, man. What was the last scary movie I watched? Like I say, I guys know I'm not into horror like that, so...
This surveillance camera caught this 73-year-old's final moments before he was murdered by this man over a $20,000 Rolex. And you guys won't believe this, but this guy who took his life did this all because he wanted to gift his girlfriend something nice for Christmas. This all happened last month when 56-year-old Nenad Milosevic met with his friend 73-year-old Anthony at around 10 p.m. at night. Anthony owned a jewelry store in Fort Lauderdale, and on that night, surveillance footage shows them entering the building and then taking the elevator to go upstairs to his shop after they went out for dinner. Apparently, Nenad wanted to buy jewelry for his girlfriend for Christmas, but things went horribly wrong. After entering the shop on the 3rd floor, Nenad was seen leaving 2 hours later on his own, carrying a bag and something covered with a towel. Anthony was reported missing on September 20th, but his body was found 3 days later in his shop by police, and the autopsy showed that he had injured his neck, back, and head. Eventually, he did admit to murdering his 73-year-old friend and to stealing 20 pieces of jewelry, which he ended up throwing over a bridge. Nenad was eventually charged with 2nd-degree murder.
Scary fact you wish you never knew.
There is a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana,
and for some reason people who go in lose their mind. Do you know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple? Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more. And if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for students.
It worked.
This furniture store in Texas received the weirdest and most creepiest order, which led to the arrest of a man who was planning on kidnapping multiple children. This older man walked into a furniture store in Fort Worth and asked the employees if they carried triple bunk beds and if he could fit at least 3 kids in each bed. He said that in total, he wanted to fit at least 36 kids in these beds. Now, right away, these employees thought, okay, this is a weird request, but then thought maybe this man had a lot of grandkids or he was furnishing an Airbnb. Nevertheless, they took down his information. The workers decided to look up this man's name just in case, and when they searched Emery D. Gardner, of course, he was a sex offender. His record shows that in 2005, he was charged with essaying a child and was released in 2015. Now guys, this is where things get even more disturbing. So these employees decided to search up where he lives, and you can't tell me that this doesn't look suspicious. This man's house has bars on all his windows, on the front of the house, the back of his house, and he even has an additional fenced area covering the house. Apparently, there was another sex offender that lived in the same house with Emery, and people think that this was a more than one-man operation. People in that area also mentioned that there's a school literally located down the street from this house, which is so terrifying to even think about. This furniture store employee even went as far as going to his house to see it in person, and he described it as being super eerie. They did call police and Emery was arrested. They didn't disclose what he was arrested for, but I'm thinking they most likely found something.
That's freaking crazy, man. You gotta shout out those workers, man. They was falling up. They didn't have to, but they did it just because, man, that they sensed something was off, something was weird. And look what happened. To fit 36 kids. Something in your head should go off when they say something like that, man. All those bunk beds. Star Wars hoverbike? That's cap. There's no way that's real.
Investigates crimes and disappearances on cruise ships? The answer should be easy, but if you go missing in international water, it's actually very complicated. Take, for instance, the case of Rebecca Corium, a cruise ship worker working on a Disney cruise who vanished without a trace in between LA and Mexico in international water. Now, I just did a whole deep dive on her case for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, which I think you should listen to because I think someone knows what happened to her and they're just not saying. But when someone goes missing in international water, it's not the country which they're from that investigates, it's not the country where the ship left from, or the country where the ship is going that investigates. No, crimes that happen in international water are investigated by the ship's flag country. Now, let me tell you what that means. Flag country refers to where it's registered. And would you believe that a lot of these ships owned by big corporations are registered in tax havens for tax breaks and countries that have very little regulations on how to build cruise ships so that these companies can skirt around regulations. Some of the most common countries to register cruise ships in are Malta, Panama, and the Bahamas, which means that when Rebecca vanished off this cruise ship, it was actually police from the Bahamas that were called. And those police felt like they didn't have any skin in the game. This was not their ship, not from their country. The person who disappeared was not from the country, so they didn't talk to any witnesses on the ship, and they also didn't look at any of the CCTV footage from the ship, which is wild because Disney released this footage from the morning Rebecca disappeared of her having a very emotional phone call and wearing someone else's clothes. But the detectives decided that she was just thrown off the ship by a rogue wave, and they stopped the investigation, and now no one has any answers as to what actually happened to her. If you are interested in cruise ship mysteries and kind of the dark inner workings of some of these cruise ships, definitely check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
I know they operate like that. Flagship countries, so like you said, They weren't even motivated by it.
Imagine you hear a snap in the woods and glowing eyes between the trees. It's not a person, it's not a wolf, it's Bambi. I got an early viewing of Bambi the Reckoning, and let me tell you, it's a part of the Pooniverse and it might be the most brutal one yet. After a tragic car crash, a mother and her son are stranded in the woods, but they're not alone. Someone's watching them, something with antlers, and it's out for blood. The kills brutal, the pacing relentless, and the mutated Bambi like something out of a nightmare. I love when filmmakers take Disney classics and twist them into something dark. It's gory, grim, and absolutely delivered. Bambi the Reckoning drops this Friday the 25th in theaters, and trust me, you're gonna want to watch this.
The woman you are looking at is going to do something that's going to shock the world. This is Amy Carlson, or also known as Mother God. Amy was a regular suburban mom who worked at McDonald's, loved singing, and lived a pretty normal life. But something changed around 2006 when she became deeply obsessed with conspiracy theories and had this divine intervention that she was sent from God. She began claiming she was an eternal sent to save humanity from all of its weaknesses. Some of her wild claims were she has lived 534 past lives, including being Jesus himself, Cleopatra, and even Marilyn Monroe. Over time, she built a cult-like following and created a group amongst themselves called Love Has Won. The outside world, this looked like a spiritual community meant to promote positivity, but inside was much, much darker. They treated her like a god, and she even created these strict rules such as no negativity, no talking back, and you must be loyal to her at all time. If the group members broke any of these rules, she would make them starve. In April of 2021, police were called to a remote house in Colorado, and the scene looked like something out of a horror movie. Her body was found in a sleeping bag covered in Christmas lights, surrounded by essential oils and glitter in what looked like a makeshift shrine. Her skin had a grayish purple tint to it, and her eyeballs were missing. The worst part is the followers were inside of the home, and some even sleeping within inches of her corpse. One of the followers even had a child there, and none of them were panicking because Amy had just ascended and she would return. 7 of the members were arrested, but all charges were eventually dropped. But to this day, some of her followers still continue to post online claiming that Amy will return. Be sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
Imagine you're staying in a house by yourself when you hear a knock at the door. You open the slide to see this man, and he's begging you to come outside. He says that earlier that night, when you ran outside to grab something from your car, someone snuck into the house when you weren't looking, and he thinks that you should come outside with him. Now, you don't hear anything inside of your house, and you didn't see anyone sneak in or hear it while you were outside, but the man insists that you have to get out now because the person who snuck into your house wants to kill you, and if you leave with him, he can help you. So what do? Do you go outside with the stranger, or do you stay the night in the house and risk an intruder being in there with you who wants to kill you? This is the opening scene to the horror movie Oddity, the scariest movie I've seen this year, and the movie only gets more dreadful and eerie as it goes on. The movie has just this unending sense of dread and some jump scares that really got me, and I don't jump that easily. Like, I almost had to turn the movie off during this scene where a character has to open a tent to see if there's something outside, which I just did an episode on my podcast about horrifying camping stories because I literally think camping is one of the scariest activities you can do. But yeah, I cannot recommend this movie enough. I found it very, very, very scary. I watched it on Shudder, and it came out last year, I believe. It's Irish, and I haven't really heard much buzz about it, but it was fantastic.
Really? Any of the secret saw the Oddity? You know, like I say, you guys know I'm not into scary movies like that, but
Today I'm going to show you the scariest YouTube channel in the world. I'm not talking about like ghost videos. I'm talking about something so disturbing that I can't even explain it.
Let's check it out.
This is the Silicone Flower. As you can see, this channel started posting 4 years ago, and it still continues to post. Let's take a look at one of the videos. This one's called I Am Dirt. Can you swim?
Yes.
Bro, what is this? This one is called XV2. Like, bro, what is this? If you look at the description of the video, it's a bunch of numbers, and I think this decodes a message. I told ChatGPT to decode this message for me, and take a look at this. The message reads, maybe one day I'll see you eating soil underneath, and when centipedes crawl in through the roots of cherry trees, as they pick apart the body and the flesh off of me, they leave the memories like our blood on denim sheets. Maybe if I throw up, I'd find the worms you left in me. I don't ever want to grow up and you get so far from me. Wish I was 17 forever so I could look into your eyes. If we can remember to remember, we could live a life where time won't pass us by. I'm going to spend the rest of the night doing some research on this, and I'm going to figure out what these messages mean. Make sure to like and follow to keep up with the journey. I'm determined to figure this out.
He seemed like the
Some
perfect
secret
neighbor
messages?
until he was caught on a hidden camera trying to poison his neighbors. On June 7th of 2023, Umar Abdullah returned to his Tampa Bay apartment with his wife Samira and their 10-month-old daughter. They had just came back from a trip to Ohio and were ready to settle back into their daily routines. But once Umar stepped into that apartment, he smelled a sharp chemical smell. He decided to open every window in that apartment to hopefully air it out. The family didn't think too much of it. They thought maybe maintenance came over to do some painting and it was the smell from that. Samira even lit a scented candle and eventually the smell went away and they moved on. Samira then placed her 10-month-old daughter in her high chair so she could start making dinner for the family, but that's when she noticed that something wasn't right. They noticed that their daughter, who was usually cheerful and hungry, wouldn't eat. She was just fussy and squirming in her seat. That evening, all three family members started to experience fatigue and headaches. They assumed that maybe it was jet lag or they got sick from traveling, but the next morning everything got worse. Samira was too weak to get out of bed and the baby was crying and vomiting. Over the following week, the symptoms got worse and they were dealing with migraines and their daughter was still vomiting. A week passes by and Umar goes into his daughter's room to check on her and she is lying on her bed and right next to her there is a thick pile of hair, which meant that she went bald overnight. They were trying to figure out what could have been wrong with their daughter, but in the back of their head they remembered that smell. They were trying to figure out if that smell was from a leak, mold, or maintenance, and when Umar talked to the landlord, they confirmed that no one went into their apartment when they were gone. The next couple of days, inspectors went into their home to see if there was any leaks, mold, malfunctions, but nothing, and they could not figure out where that smell was coming from. At this point, all three were suffering from shortness of breath, so Umar called the fire department and they sent a full hazmat team. On June 25th, Umar could smell it once again, and this time it was stronger than ever, and he began to smell where it was coming from, and it was coming from the front door. He opened the door, but there was nothing in the hallway, but he noticed that there was a crack in the door just big enough for gas or vapor to seep through. That night, Umar decided to place a small camera in their potted plant that would be facing their front door. Just 2 days later, on June 27th, the smell returned, and that's when Umar decided to look back at the footage. As he was looking at the footage, a man walked up to their floor, knelt down by their door, placed a syringe in the crack of their door, and inserted it. Once he was done, he stood up and calmly walked away. Umar called 911 and that's when they arrested 36-year-old Xiuming Li. He was a quiet, soft-spoken man trying to get his PhD in chemistry at the University of South Florida. Xiuming was married and a father of two, and he had once gifted a present to Umar and Samira for the birth of their daughter. Xiuming revealed that once their daughter was born, he was enraged every time she would cry or when they were walking or whenever they flushed the toilet. He was just so annoyed with the noise that they would make. He even tried to contact the police, but when the noise still persisted, he came up with his own plan. Xiuming made a concoction of harmful chemicals and injected it into their door for a whole month. His goal was to silence them and poison them. If Umar and Samira had not noticed that crack or put a secret video camera, they might have all died. Before Xiuming was prosecuted, he was deported to China. He has not been convicted, but if he ever steps foot in the United States, he will be arrested.
All because of some noise, man? You couldn't just knock on the door, ask him to keep it down, you had to make a concoction?
So this is Brian Draper, and this is Tori Adamczyk, and they're about to commit one of the most disgusting crimes I've ever heard of to a young promising girl, and they recorded everything. This is Cassie Jo Stoddard. Cassie was a bright and responsible 16-year-old girl that went to Pocatello High School in Idaho. On September 22nd, 2006, Cassie would actually be house sitting for her aunt when she would invite over her boyfriend Matt Beckham. She just invited him over there so that she wouldn't be alone in the house. But that Friday night, Tori Adamczyk and Brian Draper would actually ask their friend Cassie, who was house sitting for her aunt, if they could also come over to hang out with her and her boyfriend Matt. Cassie would agree, and the two boys would go hang out with her that day for about an hour before they said that they wanted to go watch a movie, and they left. Only they did not watch a movie. You see, leading up to this fateful day, Tori and Brian had actually been recording their day-to-day life at school, at home, everything. The darkness doesn't come until you look at what's being said in these tapes.
So we're gonna kill her and her friends, and we're gonna keep moving on. I heard some news about Kirsten. She's gonna be home alone from 6 to 7. So we might kill her, then drive over to Cassie's thing, and scare the shit out of them, and kill them one by one.
There are tapes of the two boys discussing the crime that they were about to do. There's tapes of the two boys discussing who they were going to commit the crime on. And there's tapes of them finally coming to the conclusion that they were going to kill Cassie. As a matter of fact, in some of the footage, you can actually see Cassie make an appearance. That's her right there. So that night, they said they wanted to go see a movie, but they really just went out to Tori's car, put on dark clothing and masks, got their weapons, and returned back to the house, but went in through the basement. While in the basement, Tori and Brian would actually turn off the breaker to cut off all the electricity in the house and terrify Matt and Cassie. Cassie's boyfriend Matt Beckham then would call his mom and see if they both could come over and stay the night at his house, but she would disagree. So Cassie decided to stay and fulfill her house-sitting duties despite the fact that the power had shut off. And unfortunately, since her boyfriend's mom had said no, Matt would eventually leave, and hours later, home alone at her aunt's house, Cassie Jo Stoddard would be attacked by Tori and Brian, who would emerge from the basement and stab her 29 times. 11 of those wounds were actually fatal, and the two would record themselves in the car after committing the crime. The police would eventually find Cassie's body, at which point Tori and Brian were prime suspects because they were caught on camera in several different places discussing how they wanted to commit a murder. The two bonded over their love of horror movies and their appreciation for prior mass murderers like Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold from the Columbine killings. It's a weird thing to bond over, but they did. The second they got taken into an interrogation room, the two of them turned their backs on each other. Cassie was supposed to be house sitting relaxing that day, but instead was turned into a plaything for two completely mentally deranged people who just wanted to live out their fantasy.
Insane story, Sheefish. You guys imagine like all looking at you like that? Is that supposed to be Annabelle?
Been this disturbed in a while. This poor girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old. This is her dad's Facebook account. It says Daddy's Baby Girls. Disgusting. Alexandra said that at the age of 9, she tried to tell CPS, but her grandmother worked very closely with them and told them that she was lying. She said that her grandfather also knew what was going on, but he wasn't surprised and just didn't care. She said that her father threatened her multiple times that if she said anything again, he could make her disappear. She wasn't allowed to have a phone, friends, and he kept her away from her mother's family so that this secret wouldn't get out. Alexandra posted this on Facebook, and basically she said that her youngest was born with severe health issues and stayed in the hospital for the first week, but since her father was scared that the truth would be exposed, he forced her to keep the baby at home, all while he needed medical attention. This disgusting family secret was finally revealed one day when the youngest child was found malnourished. He was only weighing 6 pounds at the age of 1. That's when they did a genetic testing and found out that Kenneth and Alexandra were related. This monster faces more than 150 charges, and his parents can also be charged because they knew this entire time and they never reported it.
This is Trypophobia.
The world is going to a freaking dark place, dark hole, man. The grandparents knew and they did nothing to try to stop it. They just ignored us. Hey, ain't my problem. Come on, man. People need to be better, plain and simple.
Phobia test, Extreme Edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
I made it.
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video. They recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, that got me really interested because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam. Right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5 grand in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
He's actually asking important questions, man. They sent $1,300 there. What were they watching, bro? They must have been watching something they wasn't supposed to, man. They were that scared. Because obviously you can tell that was a fake email, but it scared him to the core. He was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger, but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Williams was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Williams turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they are opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pile, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing? With this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. Nah. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the, like, skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's, like, fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant winch to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And could you ever be in the water with that?
Imagine seeing that, man. You don't even think that's an animatronic. You would think that was real. You really can't tell the difference.
Here are some signs that you won't believe actually exist. Alright, here's the first one. Please do not stand, sit, climb or lean on zoo fences. If you fall, animals scare you and that might make them sick. Thank you. This container transports a disease which has no cure. Why? Danger, if you fall in the pond, you will be boiled. Attention, make sure the door is closed tightly so bears can't get in. Thank you. Why would bears be getting in? What the really hoping the same sign is on the entrance of the slide. Oh, surely it isn't. Do not grab Hamish by the horns. I will not grab Hamish by the horn. If elevator does not move, do a small jump, it should move after. Nah, why would it move? What? Danger, do not get on elevator with one of these. If it leaks, you'll die. Why would someone get an elevator with one of these? What?
Behind me is 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. And at the age of 14, he was falsely accused of killing 2 girls. This happened 80 years ago, and this little kid was sentenced to death by the electric chair. They found the bodies of 2 young girls by George's house, so they automatically blamed him, even though they had no evidence whatsoever. On top of the false accusations, he spent 81 days in jail without even seeing his parents, and he was 80 miles away from his hometown. And he also did not get treated well. He didn't even have a lawyer in his presence during the time of questioning, and he was a kid, so he doesn't know better. He also did not receive a fair trial. The trial lasted 2 hours, and then it was handed down in 10 minutes. His parents weren't even allowed in the courtroom, and then they were banned from the city. On the day of his execution, he was carrying a Bible with him, and then they had to prop him up on that same Bible because he was too short for the electric chair. 70 years later, they overturned this conviction, saying that this case didn't make any sense. Apparently, the girls died because blunt force trauma by a beam. George is way too small to lift that beam up, so they were like, there's no possible way. But the damage was done. This was 70 years, way too late. The Green Mile by Stephen King was inspired by this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
But I wouldn't go that deep in water, so I think the last one got me, man. I'll never go that deep. That ain't for me. Somebody in there with him? Yep.
This film director was found stabbed to death inside of her London home. One thing was missing, it was her diamond-encrusted Rolex, and they think that is the motive for the murder right now. Her name is Jennifer Abbott, but she was known professionally as Sarah Steinberg. Now here's the crazy part, she was found by her niece and neighbors, and when they found her, she had tape over her mouth. Somebody stabbed her, maybe taped her mouth before they stabbed her, and then took her stuff and headed out. On top of this, she was found wrapped in a blanket on her bed. She was last seen walking her corgi on June 10th. Now that same very corgi was found alive. However, it was locked in the bathroom for 3 days, so it's a miracle that thing even survived. The niece was panicking that something was wrong with her aunt when she showed up initially. She got the neighbors, and the neighbor's son ended up breaking the door down. People are saying she also had stomach cancer and recently underwent surgery right before her death, which makes me think personally, somebody must have heard something, maybe she went through surgery and was recovering, and then that made her the perfect victim for their attack. Of course, she's a very successful director. She's going to have expensive things probably laying around her home. Do you guys think there's something fishy behind the scenes? Let me know.
Was this woman saved by her guardian angel? Joan wrote on Catholic.org that when she was 21, she was heading to a club with 2 friends. She said that as she got ready, she started feeling really odd. Then she said that it became clear to her that her and her friend were going to get into a car accident and she would not walk away from it. This was before cell phones, so she had to wait for her friend to tell her that she could not go with her since she had already left her house when Joan had this revelation. When Joan opened the door to tell her friend that she would not be going, she said that she felt a strong hand on each of her shoulders holding her back, even though she was completely alone in the room. Once she told her friend that she could not go with her, she said that the hands and the odd feeling went away. On the way home from the club, her friend got into a car accident and totaled the passenger side of the car where Joan would have been sitting. She was fine, but the passenger side of the car was completely destroyed.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not, please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom.
It really is.
Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again?
Maybe. Maybe I go exploring. Abandoned water park during the day, but not during night. I don't know what creepy crawler's going to try to come out. So, yeah.
World's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking, no way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was of cancer. The patient had upside down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the absolute worst shark animatronics, most of them underwater. Let's go. This image, I hate it. This guy that's on a dark ride, I don't like this one at all. Here's another version of it when it pops out of the water more. Who did this? Here's another image of the same shark with the track right by it. That is sickening, completely submerged like that. This image completely plagues my nightmares of the Jaws animatronic for the movie. This one's actually super interesting. Her name is Daisy, and she is a shark animatronic that looks super, super realistic. And she is rented out for people to like make movies and stuff of her. But here's an image of her being transported in the water, and she looks kind of goofy. This isn't an animatronic, but this image freaks me out every single time I see it. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it is from Deep Blue Sea, the best shark movie ever made. Another Jaws animatronic picture. I hate this one. All the tracks and all the animatronics, some mechanophobia coded. Hate it. This one has braces, and that red eye is freaking me out. Here's one of the Jaws animatronics without face skin if you needed to have nightmares tonight. There you go. These animatronics, oh my god, the fact that they're in the water is so sickening like that. Like, why? Sharks are the scariest because of their completely black eyeballs. Like, they have no, like, whites of their eyes. They're just, like, these black, just creepy, creepy eyes. I don't like them. You would have to pay me at least $500 to get on this ride, this Finding Nemo ride. The fact that Bruce sticks his head out like that. Like, look at him side-eyeing, dude. I don't like looking at this picture at all. And, of course, the Jaws animatronic at the Japanese Universal Studios. The worst. The fact that it is huge and it is in that water like that. Hate it. Which one was the worst for you?
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate. Which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
This married teacher cried as cops arrested her after they found out she had sexually abused a student 45 times. And apparently she had groomed that student since he was 14 all the way up to about age 16. She'll face nearly 60 years in prison if she's convicted and found guilty. Apparently, the teenage student's mother was going through his phone and found disturbing texts between the teacher and her son. She decided to contact the school board and the police to get to the bottom of what's going on. As of today, she has resigned from her teaching job. And then, like I said, there was 45 counts of her and the student engaging in sex and stuff like that. Whether that was in school, before school, at her own home, everything. They found thousands of texts confirming what the boy's mother was saying too. When police confronted her, she claimed that the student was just some sort of stalker that was obsessed with her. And also, the husband had no idea what was going on. He just knew the student as some soccer player at the school. And that's when the text messages got pulled up. As of right now, she's denying any sexual relations with that student. And then they pulled from her notes app and found a memoir of things she was mad about. Apparently, she was mad that the teenage boy was not picking her as the first choice or something like that. She was literally just venting in her notes app about this kid. A 30-year-old grown teacher. Let me know your thoughts.
She was sacrificed by 3 teen boys so that their band could make it big and even inspired the movie Jennifer's Body. Elise Pollard was born on April 26 of 1980 in Arroyo Grande, California. Her parents raised her as a Christian and had a strong connection with their beliefs. On July 22nd of 1995, 15-year-old Elise was reported missing. For about 8 months, no one could find a trace of Elise and her case went cold. The case opened up when 17-year-old Royce Casey admitted to taking the life of Elise with 2 other teenagers. He led police to mummified remains of Elise at a grave that was only a quarter mile away from her home. The 2 other teens involved were 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Joseph, and the 3 were all arrested and charged. According to Royce, they picked Elise because she was a blonde, blue-eyed virgin, and they were going to sacrifice her so that their metal band would make it big. Once the boys picked Elise as their victim, they stalked her for weeks and to find the best way they could get her away from school and to hang out with them alone. When they successfully lured Elise away from the school, they took her to a grove with the promise of substances. They attacked her from behind, put a belt around her neck, and strangled her. They all took turns stabbing her when she was left with 12 stab wounds. As these boys were attacking and kicking her body, Elise was praying to God for help and calling out for her mom. Elise eventually bled to death with her 12 stab wounds. But the torture didn't stop there. Once she had passed away, the boys essayed her body. Royce was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, and it's probably because he confessed to the police. Jacob and Joseph were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years. In 2021, Royce was up for parole, and he stated that he was a changed person, he felt remorse, he even got an education while he was in prison, but he was denied. Many think that the movie Jennifer's Body is based on this case. In the movie, Jennifer is taken to the woods by these band members. They end up sacrificing her so that their band can make it big. But in the movie, she becomes a vampire and takes the life of guys.
Man, we know, man, how these movies and shows will be based off of real true stories, so that's not that far of a leap. It's a chilling case.
Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive... I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you.
Ain't good.
I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop.
She found out that her husband was cheating on her, so she cut his private part off. In 2015, Feng Lung from China had found out that her husband was sending emails to another woman. Her husband Fan had used her phone to send these emails, but he forgot to log out of his account. Fan was asleep in their bed when this happened, and without thinking twice, Fung grabbed a pair of scissors, walked over to him, and cut his private part off, and it was completely detached from his body. Fan was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were successfully able to reattach it and treat his injuries. Fung was unhappy that the doctors were able to do this, so she snuck into the surgery center and attacked her husband again. She did the same exact thing to Fan, but this time she threw it out the window. There was blood pouring from Fan's groin area, but he still went outside to go look for it. As he was running outside, Fung ran after him to try and attack him again, but that's when he punched her in the face. Hospital staff were able to separate the two, and Fan was treated for his new injuries. Unfortunately for Fan, doctors nor police were able to locate his private part. Fung ended up being arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm.
AI can now officially read your dreams. When you look at anything like this grass field, your brain's neural pathways form a specific pattern, sort of like a heat map. And every possible thing you look at or can even imagine has its own unique pattern. When you dream, your brain behaves much the same way, forming brain frequency patterns based on what you're dreaming about. Well, Asa Raskin from the Center for Humane Technology announced that they've done some tests, and what they discovered is impressive but incredibly alarming. They put a test subject inside an fMRI machine, which can read brain activity, and had them look at an image, in this case an image of a giraffe, and the machine mapped out their brainwave pattern. They then hid the image and fed only the brain map data to an AI image generator, probably a little more advanced than Midjourney. An AI that has never seen the original image of the giraffe, nor had access to an internet database that stored the original image either. It then generated, strictly based on the fMRI brain map data, what it determined that the person was looking at, and this is what it produced. Not exactly the same image, but I don't think you understand what it means that AI can now turn this into that with this level of accuracy. And we're still quite early in this technology, so it's only getting better from here. Then they took it a step further. They showed the test subject in the fMRI machine a video, and on top of generating what the subject is seeing, they also wanted to find out if the AI can read your inner monologue, the words you think to yourself in your own mind that no one else knows about. The test subject watched this video and was told to narrate what was going on in the video inside their own head. Here, let's do it together. You ready? Did you get all that? Now again, given only the subject's brain activity heat map, this is what the AI determined the person was thinking. I see a girl that looks just like me get hit on the back, and then she is knocked off. Probably a bit different than what you thought, but this is literally AI reading our minds, and all it takes is someone's fMRI brain scan data. Our thoughts and dreams can now be leaked to the world. Give it a few more years and this technology will get near perfect. And sure, fMRI machines may look like this today, big, clunky, and all around you, but that technology is also going to improve. What if we have fMRI Apple Vision Pro goggles 10, 20 years from now? You'd be able to see and read what someone is thinking or even dreaming by just looking at them.
That's crazy, man. AI getting to the point where it can read our brains. It can translate the dreams. That's taking that step too far, man. That's giving it way too much access. But you know it's not gonna stop, man, because those AI contracts be coming in, man. It's all about the money, so. But that's a scary thought, man. In my opinion, we need to slow it down just a lot. Not a little bit, just a lot, bro. Kind of set up some safeguards. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.